If the affirmations you're doing feel like you're lying to yourself, I'm going to tell you why that is and what to do instead. So the reason that your affirmations feel like self-deception is that your feelings are giving you the truth. You're actually deceiving yourself if that's the feeling that your affirmations create. I know that a lot of you have been trained in the style of affirmation where you state what is yet to be truthful as currently truthful, but that's always going to feel like a lie. I understand it's supposed to be aspirational, but that feeling that you're deceiving yourself is actually an accurate assessment of the content of that type of affirmation. As a professional hypnotherapist, all day long, I think about what ideas am I going to communicate to my clients. They're hypnotic suggestions, not affirmations, but that just means someone else is communicating. You're not thinking the thought to yourself. I always seek out truths that are empowering or liberating or inspiring or comforting and reassuring. And when I'm looking within the realm of what's definitely truthful, what feels like it has the weightiness of the material universe itself, I am going to find truths that are empowering and inspirational and motivating and encouraging and everything else, which means I never have to stretch outside of what keeps my feet and my clients' feet firmly on the ground. I'll give you a few examples. I had a client a while ago who asked for help with social confidence. And the way he worded it is that he wanted a delusional confidence. In his view, anyone at a party who could talk to anyone else had to have some kind of delusion about his worth or his value or his how interesting he is. In my experience of people who are sociable, they're not delusionally confident. Instead, they tend to have, for example, the view that they're just a human being. They're a humble human being, and so is everyone else at the party. I mean, someone's got to be the first to say hello, so it might as well be them. And no one's really better or worse than anyone else. So for this client, I said no to his request to instill a kind of delusional confidence where he's awesome and everyone's gonna love him and all of that stuff, because it's not truthful and it's not how confident people think. Instead, I instilled in him a view that his opinions of himself count more than the opinions of strangers at a party. So if he's doing things that make him feel good, then that's good enough. I instilled the view that he is a human being talking to other human beings, and if you look at the commonalities between all human beings, you're going to find those commonalities, so don't look at the differences, don't look at how that person looks richer than you or that person is taller than you. Look at the commonalities, look at the human-to-human connection. I had him take on the view that he can be the first to say hello as a peer, as an equal to other people at the party. He doesn't have to wait for other people to introduce themselves first if he has every right to say hello first. And this set of views might seem more plain. It might seem more even boring than to have a kind of supercharged, delusional confidence. But if I'm in the profession of helping people become happier and healthier, if I hope for hypnotherapy to one day count as a legitimate mental health profession, I have to bring people closer to reality. I have clients asking me to help them with their financial goals. And a common request, because of all this talk about abundance and manifestation and affirmations in the self-help universe, is that I instill the attitude that my client just attracts money, that they attract money effortlessly. Now, this is exactly the opposite of the attitude taken by the wealthier people I know. They're not wishing. They're not wannabes. They put their nose to the grindstone. They get stuff done. And if they were to kind of make a vision board, or if they were to kind of sit and affirm and try to manifest, it often would just delay them calling a customer. It's going to be actions in the material world that are going to result in people understanding you have an awesome product or an awesome service. For any of my clients who ask for me to make them into a money magnet or to help them to manifest, unfortunately, I have to say no. I think that money coaches who downplay hard work and who play up, just being lucky, I think they're actually entrapping people into poverty further. And the world doesn't need that. The world needs innovation. The world needs us to be in the world and act upon the world so that we have more art and more paintings and more buildings and more creation and more of the good stuff in the world. We don't need to just kind of sit with our own thoughts and essentially to hope. For such a client, I would give them the view that it's possible to be wealthy and to be moral at the same time. The people who they had seen turn into jerks once they came across wealth, they were jerks to begin with, and the wealth just enabled that to be very visible. I might instill in my clients the view that it's better to emulate those who've succeeded at the endeavor than to waste a single moment envying those who've succeeded. I would instill in my clients the view that in business, they have to take their own side. Their competitor, often their customer, maybe their landlord, they're all self-interested. So my client had better, in that environment, be self-interested too. And I think that all these views in aggregate are going to make my client more into the entrepreneurs I know. And it is going to be moving them away from essentially hoping, wishing, and dreaming and toward doing. The final example I'll give is quite broad, but often people want to get this feeling, often because they were deprived of it in childhood, that they can do anything that they set their mind on, that they can achieve riches and a fantastic relationship and brilliant health all the time, that they can have it all. To come back to the topic of not lying to yourself, we have to acknowledge your humanity. There are few truths that are as constant as your humanity, because this is something you were born with and that's not going anywhere and that you're going to have for the rest of your life. A human being can achieve tremendous feats. The roads that we drive on, the internet that we use, the movies we watch are created by teams, but teams of human beings. You don't have to fancy yourself superhuman, because human beings are capable of doing some pretty awesome things. Recognizing your humanity also means that if you have a sports goal, for example, you do have to recognize the limits of your body. I'm fairly tall, but I'm never going to be an NBA player because I'm not tall enough, and I actually didn't like gym class. Recognizing our humanity means that we have to recognize we don't have to be perfect in order to be loved, in order to be worthy, in order to be accepted. Recognizing our humanity means that we all have our limits, and our limits are roughly in the same shape as those of other human beings, like how many waking hours you have in a day, for example. The idea that one can become superhuman through mindset alone is one of those self-deceiving lies that I advise you not to tell yourself, and which I would never speak to a client. One of the most common things I would say to clients is that you are completely and totally a human being, 100% a human being, not a bit more, not a bit less, but precisely human as an exact quantity. And this is so liberating in so many ways, because you can do the awesome things a human being does, but you're not expected to do things that require superhumanity. To summarize this entire video, what I want to leave you with is the view that when you're looking at what's definitely truthful and comforting and inspiring and empowering and motivating, and whatever else it might be that you want to instill within yourself, well, that's where you're going to find the affirmations that don't feel self-deceiving. So if you tell yourself that you're a human being and that liberates you from any obligation to be perfect, and it means you can do some pretty awesome things too, That's a pretty good starting point. If you have some affirmations that you want me to workshop for you, then leave a comment in the comments below. And of course, subscribe and like for more content like this. I'm Luke Chow from the Morpheus Clinic for Hypnosis in Toronto, Canada.